What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. So before we jump into the videos for Storm and Iceman and we go some exposition of those, I want to address one of the big things in the room, right, in the game, and that is currently the disrespect that has been given to speed characters. We essentially got a T4 for Iron Man. He was our first T4 blast superhero. Not kind of hard to understand why we get a blast superhero for the first tier 4 with the strength that blast characters represent. And then we roll into the Love and Thunder update and we get we rolled into the combat update where we basically got Moon Knight as our second T4. A little hard to understand why we got the T4 inside Moon Knight, especially it's Moon Knight. So, you know, it wasn't like he was the greatest of heroes, but I guess it tied into the release of his MCU uniform and his appearance there, so kind of understand, right? Combat characters overall in this game aren't exactly like, you know, the powerhouses that you would imagine in and of themselves, you know what I mean? Like, outside of looking at characters like Wolverine has been disrespected so much, Captain America has had so many uniforms, so it was going to be hard for me to imagine him getting combat class automatically for him because he's just received so many uniforms. I think that this would have been a perfect time for a character like T4 Hulk instead, or, you know, I imagine that we're gonna wait some time for the Fantastic Four before we get to see a T4 in Mr. Fantastic here. But overall, we don't have a whole bevy of characters. You see, I haven't even worked on my T4 for Moon Knight at all. I don't even know that I intend to be perfectly honest. That's just being me being realistic. But then we rolled into the Love and Thunder update and we got a T4 and Thor, which we all knew was coming in the first place, right? And we got T3 for Jane. Now, here goes the problem, is that after that, I think we all expected that the next rotation would be a T4 for Speed. But we didn't get a T4 for Speed. Instead, we got a T4 for Storm. And this wouldn't necessarily be like one of those things that you would complain about if it was a good T4. But Marvel Future Fight, Netmarble in general, has this problem with characters like Storm. And I'm just gonna say that, and if you know, you know. These characters also get shunned and put to the back, and they also get eschewed. Like, I've said this before in videos before, but there's like a level and a hierarchy to the way they put powerhouses in there. And, you know, she doesn't fit the bill for that. So I was kind of surprised to see her get a T4 along with Iceman and his T3 and his Summer Days uniform, because we basically skipped over our speed tier 4s. But what I wanted to do is take the time to kind of look at, well, if we were going to look at T4s for speed characters, what do we have, right? And if you essentially looked at the characters on the block, there's not a whole lot here in terms of speed characters when you break down whom you could see getting a T4. I think a lot of players are still waiting on Green Goblin to at the very least get a T3, but he wasn't going to be T4'd at any point. I mean, I think we could all agree on that. Of some of the characters that are in the T4 or in the T3 range or in the Awaken range that could possibly be tier 4, who did we really expect of here to get a tier 4? There's nothing powerhouse about, you know, Corvus Glaive or Makari that we would say that's going to generate dollars. So we essentially have but 3 characters that I could conceivably imagine would have gotten a tier 4 inside of the speed caliber. That would have been Spider-Man, Deadpool, and Gwenpool. I could essentially see those characters getting those updates. But now when we look at those characters, Spider-Man would have been the most likely, but do we have anything to tie him to? That's going to be the question. So I feel like there was a level of disrespect done there overall, but here goes an interesting thing, and I only just recently started thinking about it, and it was partial to the reason why I made the video, because I see the speed characters getting skipped again. I know. Let me explain why. I could see conceivably maybe the speed characters getting skipped again. Let me explain this. So basically, if we go back to combat class heroes, right? There's a character that is currently on the horizon to have, you know, a shakeup, basically, right? That's this character right here, She-Hulk. Yeah, so She-Hulk is probably set to maybe get a tier 3 at the very minimum, if not an awakening, because she's got her show that's debuting later this month in August. Don't forget that we also have I'm gonna have to look up her name here because I can't remember what class she is, if I'm being honest, but let's see if she'll pull up. Yeah, so Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel. This was the last time we saw a uniform for her inside the game. Was this Inhumans Attilan Rising uniform? Now she's got her all new, all different costume here, and she also has this Karachi uniform that apparently I don't own, but it's there, right? So it's kind of interesting that this character's there because she just had her own show, and we haven't seen anything from her show as well. So she is typed for combat class as well. So could it be that we almost end up with another skip for a speed hero? Because in terms of the show, in terms of like what's current, Marvel Future Fight does a lot in terms of tying in, you know, the MCU universe and the Disney universe to his game. They clearly make a shite ton of money by doing that. Is there a possibility that we basically go into another month where we're rolling into August and we look at the updates there, and what we see on the horizon is essentially combat classes getting uniforms to either get T3'd or possibly to get T4'd? Or do we see, and it's really hard because of the way the developers have been just throwing shit in there. Like, I mean, who thought that we were gonna get, you know, Jane Foster, Thor, and a speed character, and we still didn't even get Gore as a representative character inside, a playable character inside the game. I don't think any of us saw that. So essentially, when we look down at the slate of schedule, we don't see a character in the speed genre showing up anytime soon on any slate for the MCU. So they would basically have to pull from somewhere else. Does that mean skipping over the She-Hulk and skipping over the Ms. Marvel updates in order to give us a speed T4, or just throwing it in there? Could Green Goblin's a tier 3, so I don't imagine them just leaping over tier 3 to get him to tier 4. So essentially what we're faced with is what characters that are in here that are awakened, that are, you know, awakened or tier 3'd, are going to be on the horizon for anything in the near future without them just shoehorning them into the schedule. There's nobody. Like, realistically, there's nobody. I mean, could we, Luna Snow, I don't see us getting a update. Her uniforms typically come at the end of the year and in the December month. So can we see a T3 coming for her? I mean, a T4 coming for her? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I would love to know what you guys think about this in the comment section, because I just don't see T4s for Daredevil. I don't see T4s for Hawkeye. I don't see T4s for half of the speed characters that are currently in the lineup. I don't see any of them, Bucky to be included. I don't see any of these characters necessarily making a wave or a splash that's currently there. So are we going to end up into the August months with a skip on the speed characters again, unless they shoehorn them in? And who would be shoehorned in is the question. Yeah, my money would be Deadpool. If I had to wager a guess, it would probably be Deadpool. But I think this coming off of rolling in Storm and Iceman and basically making a completely paywalled update in terms of that, this might piss off a number of players. I would love to see Deadpool get his, you know, something, especially with the announcement that we're expecting of him getting his R-rated series or movie for Disney. It would be interesting to see overall. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below, because I just don't see speed fitting into the schedule. Like, if I had to do it for program planning, I just don't see speed fitting into the program planning anyway, for them to have a speed T4 up on the chopping blocks. We do need one, however, to fit all of the days of the week for GBR Dormammu. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, peace.